Welcome once again to this YouTube channel. Today we're going to look at the map function in Google Sheets. The map function, you'll give it an array, then it will go with each value in the array, and you tell it to do what you want to do in each of those values in the array, and then it will spill out the result. So it will run through each and every value of the array, then tell it what to do for each value, then spill out the result for that it has found. Let's jump into examples for clarity. For examples, example 1, I'm gonna show you how to convert these figures in miles into kilometers, and it tells me 1 mile is equal to 1.609344 kilometers. So I want to convert these into kilometers. Of course, there are other ways, but you can say this times this, then you lock that cell there. This is what you normally do. Drag your formula down. This is what you would normally do. Or else you can say, I want all this, I multiply it by this one here. I lock that cell, press enter to enable the display of all the values. I enclose it in array formula, Control Shift Enter. There you go, you get the same result. But this is not what I want to demonstrate. I want to demonstrate the map function in Google Sheets. So let's see what the map function, if we decide to use the map function, say map, the first argument is an array. Right? That's my array of values. Then, of course, if you have another array, you can give it, and then it will go through each and every value in that array. But in this case, I have to use lambda if a lambda is a user-defined function. And so this is my array from A3 to A12. So if I say row, whatever, you can give it whatever name. You can say row value P. Now this one stands for one value or the current value in the array. As I told you, this map function is going to run through value per value in this array. So when I say row value P, I mean the current value. If it is in position 1, the current value here of row value P will be 10. Then I give it an operation to do. After that, it will go to 20. The 20 will become the row value P. So this one can be anything. You can say X, Y, whatever you want to call it, but be aware that it's the current value when it is looping through is this value here. So, comma, then you give it a formula expression. What do I want it to do with this value? For example, 10 here. I want it to multiply it by 1.609344 so that it converts the 10 miles to kilometers. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, get that row value P, multiply it with that value there, like so. I close my lambda function, I close my map function, I hit enter, the magic happens. In one single formula, it calculates all the values of the array that I've given it. That is the power of the map function. Example number 2. You can also use it to clean data. Assuming I have the @ symbol in some of the values in my names, and I want to remove them, of course, you can go removing one by one, but this is a perfect example of one function that can eliminate all of them at once. All I'm gonna do is say map function. I give it the array of the values I want to clean. I give it comma, let's type lambda, open brackets. Remember, what I told you in the previous, my raw value is the single value, each of these at any point in time as my function is running can become my raw value. So you first define that. Then the next one is the formula expression. When I pick Olivia, the first one with the @ symbol, what do I want to happen? I want to substitute the @ symbol with a space so that it disappears from my name. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the substitute function, and what it does, it takes the text that needs to be substituted, which in this case is this current raw value P, a comma. When I get that text, what should I search for? You need to search for the @ symbol in quotes. You put it @ symbol, comma. If I've got the @ symbol, what happens? Replace it with an empty space. I want the @ symbol to disappear. So I'm saying replace it with an empty space, which is in double quotes. I close my substitute function. I close my lambda function. I close my map function. I hit enter, and there you go. In a single function, the @ symbol has disappeared from all my names. That's wonderful. In the next example, I want to use the map function to generate IDs. What IDs do I want? I want IDs in this format here, where I have the word ID, then the number. Then my map function comes into play. I say map, open. Now I'm gonna give it an array of values of cells here from A3 to A13, comma, I type lambda like so, then I gain my row. The other important thing you need to know is that the map function can also be a reference of a cell. Okay, very important. So I say my row, which is a reference, and what I want is ID. I'm going to the expression. I use my @ symbol. Then I'm gonna put a formula that is gonna generate a number, and the number is gonna row from small case row, close my row function, close my lambda function, close my map function, hit enter. I get an error there. Let's see what the problem is. In this case, I use the word row and row here, and it seems it did like that. So let me add a P. So row P and press enter. There you go. Now you have to be careful. Row is a keyword in Google Sheets. So when I used row, it didn't work, but when I change it to row P, it does work fine. So all this, what this function does is, for example, if you have the row and it gives it a reference like this, then you can get these values. So all I did, I got these values, I added the ID to it by using the concatenation, the n% symbol, then I got this here. Okay. Now this is an example where it takes a reference. Okay. When I, for example, when I do like this, you see it tells you cell reference. So the map function can also give you can take in a cell reference. To demonstrate this one, I'm gonna show you another example in the next, or my fourth example, which is running totals. Okay, let me generate some figures quite fast here. Then I'll show you what happens. Like so. Like so, I've generated figures here. Let me remove this. Now, assuming I want a running total, and what I mean by running total, I get, let me just do it like this. I get the sum of this against this, put here B3. I get the first sum there. Now, if I want the running total, this should be B3 to B3, like so. Somehow it's not accepting, but the point I want to tell you is if I want a running total for the values here, I need to keep this row constant by putting a $sign in front of the 3, like so. Okay. Now I need to drag this one down. So now when I click on this, it adds these two because I kept the row constant. I come to the next one, it calculates the 3, then the 4, and so on. So this is what I want to do. I want to do it using the map function. Now, when you observe this function here, you're going to see that B is constant and the $3 is constant, but this value next here goes on changing. When I go to the next, here it is B3, next is B4, next is B5. So this reference here is changing. In my previous example, I told you we can use a reference in my map function. So let's see how we are going to change this to compute the running total. So here I go. I'm going to say map. My array will be these values, comma. I type the word lambda, open my brackets. Now I give it any name. So I'm going to say row P, comma. What do I want to do? I want to get the sum. Okay. I say sum, but maybe let me go and pick the sum from here. First, stop this one here. Then come here. Let me copy this here because I'm going to use it. Then go back to my function. I come here. I paste the sum. What I told you, the B3, the first B3 here, which is a reference, needs to be constant because I'm summing from that value. However, the B3, B4, this one needs to vary. And when I'm running my map function, this one can also be a reference of this cell here. So when I run it the first time, the reference will be this cell B3. Then the next reference will be B4, B5, B, and so on. So in my function here, instead of putting B3, I want it dynamic. I'm going to use row P. Press enter, and there you go. You're going to get the same running total as this one here. And this is an example where we are taking a reference. As you can see, I'm calculating from P3 up to the current value, okay, at the current cell reference. So when you are at the first value here, the cell reference will be B3. When you go to the next, it will be B4, B5, and so on. So it is calculating the sum. So now holding this constant, but we are moving the end reference. That is the power of the map function. I hope this has been helpful in helping you understand the map function. Give me your comments. If you've liked this video, please like it. And if you've not subscribed, please subscribe. And thank you all to those who have already subscribed. See you in the next video and have a great day.